Welcome to FedScoop TV. I'm Whitney Wyckoff. Here with me now at the Social Innovation Summit is Ted Okada. He's the CTO of FEMA. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good to be here, thanks.
Now, how has your job and the mission of your agency been impacted by the tsunami of data washing over government?
Yeah, I think it's like everybody else, and
Yeah.
including the private sector and the voluntary community. The idea is people are washing information, but you think about T.S. Eliot. Where's the information out of the data that's deluging into folks' screens on their mobile devices, on their computer screens every day. And then Eliot goes, well, where's the information? From that, where's the knowledge out of that information? So where's the knowledge we've lost in data? What information that we've lost in data? What's the knowledge we've lost in information? And one of the challenges FEMA faces, like a lot of organizations, is sort of the last step that nobody talks about, which is wisdom, which is, where's the wisdom that we've lost in the knowledge that we've lost in the information that we've lost in data? So one of the great challenges is actually to make good decisions for outcomes. In our case, at FEMA, it's actually to to generate decisions that actually impact outcomes for survivors of a disaster or an emergency, and first responders. So FEMA's mission is to support survivors and first responders. So we make decisions at FEMA. Question becomes, are they wise decisions, right? So again, to extend what T.S. Eliot said, where's the wisdom that's lost in the knowledge, which is lost in the information, which is lost in the data? So the growth of large data sets, big data is too trendy a term. It's just data. It's maybe a lot of it and maybe more difficult to detect patterns of data. And so that's why the analysis of data or the analytics of data becomes much more challenging. So and more of it is accessible. So it's just more accessible data, which makes the analytics far more important, and then generate knowledge and ultimately wisdom, right? So that's the idea.
Interesting. Yeah. Now, what changes would you like to see in your agency that would make data more useful within your job or just the overall mission?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We do have, for example, we started up data governance councils. So that's part of our IT governance board. So we view data in the same way we view systems and software, in the sense that we recognize that governance is often the most challenging part, because a lack of governance introduces risk, and that's how government works. I'm not long in the government, and so you kind of pick that up. So by not governing, you introduce risks. So by extension, data is sort of the next layer above systems, and so if you don't have data governance, you're not really going to have governance when you think about it. So questions like, okay, what is authoritative data, right? Or what is canonical data? What is that like? So that's really truly determined by aspects of, is there unity of effort? Is there a unity of culture that then determines governance? So I think at FEMA, what we try to do is say that ultimately, outcomes for survivors should dictate the decisions we make, should determine which sort of analytical tools we look at to support those decisions, and finally, what data sets that are authoritative. And when we mean authoritative, a lot of it is the hard work of just cleaning it up. And then what are the systems? I think in many sort of dysfunctional organizations, you find systems being at the top, right? You have siloed systems. They create data sets that are disparate, leading to bad analysis or no analysis, and then poor decisions, right? So we want to invert that pyramid, that it's always about the outcomes for survivors. What are the decisions that support that? What are the analytical tools or products that support those decisions? Only then do we talk about data, and then finally systems. Systems should be really last. So that's how we do it.
Interesting. Now, could you talk about one tool or platform or maybe a program that has made the biggest difference for you in handling data?
Well, I think that one of the biggest things that I think, just to key off something that the administrator has always made a priority, is to actually open data up. So this idea of, if it is not sensitive or it is not locked down in any way, FEMA should be opening that data up, and not just to the public, but also to internal stakeholders. So the idea is to flatten the data space, if you will, so that analytical tools have the widest aperture, as we call it, the widest aperture to actually retrieve that data. So looking at concepts like data primitives, like what is a standard format for structured data, what is a standard format for unstructured data. So if you look at companies that do search engine technologies, Google and all the major search companies, they've all sort of standardized that, so your data repositories can be just about anywhere. So then when you search against them, you can actually see everything. So we're also doing that similarly for the public. So one of the things I started 3 years ago was something called Open FEMA. So if you go to fema.gov/open or /data, we actually allow for machine readable data. And that is in fact something that the White House actually made a formal executive order. So there was a May 2013 order on machine readable data, and there was also a digital government strategy talking about open data that was in effect machine readable, and that was in 2012. So from the top of the government all the way to FEMA, we are very much committed to opening up data and making it machine readable. So that's really going to be more and more part of our future.
Interesting. Well, Ted, you've given us some good things to think about.
Sure,
thanks so much for taking the time to stop by and chat.
Thanks.
This is FedScoop TV. I'm Whitney Wyckoff. Thanks so much for watching.